All right, RTD Live Talk, the last stream of 2019, and I figure I would take a minute, check in, see who's available, and so we have a audience from a variety of places. So a lot of people might already be in the 2020s, or we might have a couple people on the East Coast that's still getting ready for a lively festive night of activity for those that do such. Stumbling everywhere. Anyway, that being the case, thought I would just check in. Last live stream of this evening. Welcome to RT Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. And so want to make sure got a couple people tuning in thus far. Give it a second. And so I figure I would just throw it out there, see what's on your mind, and see about what have you guys excited for the next year and leading into a new next decade. So a lot of things I want to talk about this evening, so I'll go and slowly but surely moving forward. We got Spirit King, we got James, we got Chase Man 2K5, we got Anthony, we got James, your Spirit, Nathaniel, we got Aaron. How you guys doing from Iowa? Still 2019 here. Okay, good. So with that being the case, yeah, not much on the agenda this evening. It's been just a laid back day, but I wanted to connect and see what's going on. So with that being the case, I just want to open the mic up and just, the phone lines, 313-462-0027, as well as the chat there. Let me know where you're watching from. MK says, Happy New Year. How you doing? Happy New Year to you as well. And just want to comb through some of the highlights, I guess, of this past year, and then throw out a couple thoughts and things of concern that we're going to hear more about for 2020 as time moves forward. So hopefully, let me know if my audio is good, because I had issues with that the other day. And so I want to make sure everything is going smoothly here. But that being the case, it's just going to be more of a laid-back stream, and I just want to hear from you guys. So Chance Man 2K, for any gun laws, any updates on the gun laws in Virginia? Audio is right. Audio is good. Sounds good. Okay, so I'm not sure what's going on. I had some technical glitches yesterday. But with that being the case, the gun laws. And so to be honest with you, Chance Man, I have not even, I'm familiar with it, haven't dived into it. That's about one of maybe 4 or 5 other stories that I've been looking at, actually. And so as you brought that up, let me go ahead and just look that up myself and see if there's anything that stands out right away. And I'll pull up a story and we can all walk through it a little bit. So here's an article here that I will bring up on the screen, and we'll find out a little bit more in depth about it. It says, Virginia, first weeks of January are critical. Virginia gun owners take action. So it says, law-abiding gun owners throughout the Commonwealth must continue to join together to fight against gun bans, gun rationing, and confiscation this January in Richmond. Your NRA has even plans for early critical days for 2020 legislation. So apart from knowing about, looks like on January 13th, where lawmakers could hear the first slate of bills to restrict our freedom into oblivion. So I wouldn't foresee it actually moving forward, because once again, Virginia is one of them states that they love their weapons, just like majority of the other states. So I'm not sure how much steam this will pick up and what type of action will be taken. But with that being the case, for those, or if anybody's in Virginia watching us and you have some thoughts you want to share on it, feel free to let us know, because I'm curious, because I'm not sure how deep this goes. But we can definitely talk about that. If anybody have any thoughts you want to share, feel free.
Going up, it's skyrocketing.
So I apologize for that. And let me see here. Let me check it back in the chat. And so what else we got here? We got the Silverback Stackers. Happy New Year's, Mike. Got my weight up today. Good deal. Yeah, so just speaking about weights, I'll just go ahead and just jump on the weight concept. And so ending this past year, when it comes to the equities market, and I remember last year around the same time frame, December was very roller coaster wide. Like, it was just up, down, 500 dropped, 700, 600. So I remember all those swings. And I remember, basically saying that coming into 2019, be ready for anything. And so here we have somewhat of a little bit of a rally the last day or two, but had a sell-off. Looks like I think it closed 200 points down or something like that. The Dow, I believe, from what I was hearing about it. But it's one of the things where going into this next decade, and so since we're just, being open here, I can just be straight up with you. When it comes to the equities markets and just your conventional financial practices, I'm not too confident in any of those things moving into this next decade. And so apart from the Dow Jones reaching all-time highs, knowing that the only way that the mainstream narrative can stay active and alive is as if they continue to pump the net worth effect of everybody's doing well. President Trump tweeting the stock market's doing great. Everybody should be feeling wealthier, all that stuff like that. And so I'm of the mindset that the stock market rally, will continue on. We're going to see 30,000 Dow probably within the first week or two of January, possibly, especially if this trade deal gets signed on January 15th, the way that President Trump mentions that they're having a celebration or something like that at the White House. So I can see equities rallying well into that time frame. But then again, we have so many other issues that could derail that. And so we have the whole Syria, Iraq situation happening right now, where it looks like over this past weekend, the U.S. decided to go in and looks like bomb Iranian militia troops or whatnot. And so I want to say I saw a report mentioning that 25 casualties or something like that. I'm not sure. And so we don't know where that's going to go, because that right there can easily throw a big wrench in these deals, because Iran is buddies with China. So who knows how this may play out. But of course, the war drums are beating heavily, and that's not a good way to start off a new year. Nevertheless, head into a whole new century, or not century, but decade, where our nation, as a debtor nation, we still need the front, that there's people out there interested in supporting our debt markets by buying all the things that Uncle Sam will be trying to dish out in the next decade to fund the $1 trillion plus deficits. So with that being the case, just going back to what I was talking about, financial vehicles, the typical things moving forward, you can write them up if you want, but realize that unless you actually getting out in more of a trading form, in my opinion, the risk falls on you, because it cannot go up forever. Now, they may be able to get 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 Dow out of this, but yet, what happens when it corrects? That's going to be the lifelong question that a lot of people will be wondering as to why they probably lost everything they own in those things. But we have a call, so I'm curious to find out where this is going. So let's get somebody on here. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's Matt from Nashville.
Matt from Nashville. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind tonight? Happy New Year, by the way.
I'm doing good. Yeah, you too, man. You doing all right?
Doing good. What's on your mind?
Well, it's not about silver or precious metals tonight. I was curious. I was listening to you and Half Dollar the other day, and I think he made the point that zero hedge is mainstream because it's like top 1,000. So I didn't know if – I know that you and him bounce the articles back and forth. But I was curious on, do you guys have any other recommended news sources that aren't mainstream? I have a difficult time finding some.
Yeah, now, so you say news sources is not mainstream. At this point, everything that we as alternative media commentators come across is typically old news already. And so we never usually, I'm not familiar with it. There's all types of external sources, so I like to comb through a lot of the Middle East news sources. You got your Al Jazeera, you got your RT from Russia, you got a couple other sources that gives me a perspective based upon that region. But by the time it hits a publicly syndicated news source, it's already old, and so there's nothing fresh that I'm aware of directly. So everything I'm usually commenting on is already stuff that already took place. So, with that being the case, nothing else comes to mind, because Zero Head does a good job of painting a somewhat unbiased opinion, even though it's swayed towards their that Tyler Durden guy, whoever he is, but yeah, it's his spinoff on things, but yet it gives an open-ended picture of what's going on. So it's one of the things where I still use it as a source because it gives me something to start with and then add my own opinions on top of it. So, but that's kind of what I have in mind.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I like Zero Hedge. So far for me, it's the best. It's the best. I think it's pretty good. So
Yeah,
I
really
appreciate your answer. I'll look into some other foreign countries. If you can you drop maybe some of those links in the chat?
Not a problem. I'll do that as they come to mind. I'll do that. And also, if you come across any, feel free to reach back in the chat, let us know, and comment on any of the videos and leave it down in the video description. I'll definitely jump on it and share it with the community as well. So appreciate you, my friend.
Okay, I appreciate it. And last thing, Mike, I appreciate it when you talk about your faith, man.
Appreciate it. Oh, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I'm on more of that in 2020 for sure. Thank you.
All right, boss.
Be good. Happy New Year. Yep. Great call. Appreciate that. Yeah, so definitely. So, yeah, feel free to call in. This is I want to make this more of an open format. Let everybody get a chance to share what's on their mind and what's exciting you for 2020 and what did you learn in 2019? Anybody want to share that? Let me know. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello. Hi there. Go ahead. You're online. Hello. Going once. Going twice. All right.
Hello, Mike.
Yep.
Is
Hi
this
there.
me? Mike?
Yeah. I hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Happy New Year.
Same to you, my friend. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
This is Greg Q.
Greg Q, how you doing, my friend? What's going on with you?
I am wonderful. Just wondering if what's the line on the Black Swan event for 2020?
Whew. It's I would imagine between now and the time the presidential stuff really gets ramped up, I would be willing to say it's pretty much a shoe-in that we're going to have something. I don't know how I don't know if it's going to be a domestic or international, but I would be willing to say it's pretty high odds that we're going to have some type of distraction that could probably become more than just a distraction. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I think we're going to have a Black Swan event by the spring.
By the spring. Will it be domestic or international in your opinion? How big does it have to be to really disrupt things?
It could be China blowing up with China's an absolute mess. The repo market's coming unwound.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have to escalate this perpetually.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if they stop the water at the well, and they can't really take the repos into the presidential election. So I think
why can't they?
I think it's almost checkmate. I think now it's just time to place your bets on when it's going to happen.
Yeah. Now I'm of the mindset that the repo market, it to me and to us, it shows signs of a crisis somewhere in the financial realm. But yet it's one of the things where our politicians will not be addressing that at all. And so it's good to say the Federal Reserve has a little leeway, so they'll be able to pull off probably pretty much whatever they want between now and the time a politician decides to address it, which will be after the presidential race, because no politician will touch that subject matter now when their jobs are on the line, especially the House, if this whole impeachment process doesn't pan out. So I think they can pull this repo market QE stuff off, because their balance sheet right now is still below what it was at the peak of the QE3 round, I think. So they might be able to pull off some more repo type lending action and get away with it, because once again, who's going to contest it or even scream about it? Because the mainstream media won't cover it, I'm sure. So what keeps them from not being doing this a lot longer?
And there's another thing on the deck. So we have three main events that it could be a 3-round knockout, because we have even though markets are going up and up with the stock buybacks.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think at some point here in the spring, Moody's or Standard & Poor's is going to have to come out with some realistic bond ratings, corporate bond ratings. And I think a major is going to get classified as junk. And that's going to open the door, and the horses are going to be let out.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt
Whether
it.
that's GE, Ford, AT&T, once they go to a triple C rating bond
Yeah.
and they go to junk status, every pension fund 401k is going to be forced to sell it.
Ooh, you getting dirty there. So yeah. So once again, like I saw an article. I wish I would have made note of it, but it mentioned something about it gave even an update on the amount of junk status corporate debt notes out there that they are subject to being downgraded to junk status. So that could play along into exactly what you're saying, to where there could be multiple corporations that have to face reality that I think the Federal Reserve, unfortunately, might come in and help out with that. So I can see the Federal Reserve prolonging this thing as long as they can. So I don't see them letting off the spigot anytime soon.
They won't have it. They won't have a choice, but the reality is you got 15% of the S&P 500 that are zombies.
Yeah.
That can be downgraded to junk status at any time.
And the Federal Reserve might swoop in by some type of new something or another and actually purchase some of that stuff. And yeah, so at this point, it's a race to the finish, but it's a matter of trying to save face as long as they can. So what reason I'm saying all this is because I'm the mindset that they're going to try to string this thing off well throughout the year. Now, there could be something outside this country that trickles into our country, causing them to lose control or something like that. But I'm of the mindset that this is going to go on they're going to try to pull this along through 2020. So I'm not anticipating like no type of outright financial mayhem or anything like that directly. If it does come, that'll be a shock to the world for real, because I don't think that's something that they themselves would even see coming, if that's possible. So, but we're going to be on guard though.
My prediction for 2020, it's the year of the swan, baby, and they're black.
Swan. Okay, well, hey, I appreciate you calling and sharing that. Thank you.
Hey, happy New Year.
All right, same to you, man. Be good.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye. The year of the swan. Okay, so hey, I can take that. It's one of the things where I'm hoping we don't have something of that magnitude. And the reason I'm saying all this is that, like, if you've been watching the channel for some time now, I'm not anticipating and don't really want to experience that correction crash or whatever it's going to be called, the beginning of the reset, even though the decaying of our monetary system is underway. I still need more time to reach more people and get more weight and everything else in between. So, hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Xavier calling from Maryland.
Xavier from Maryland. How you doing, my friend? Happy New Year to you. What's on your mind this evening?
Not much. I was watching on your page and saying some Past Gold. What's your views on Curry Ball?
I am an affiliate of it. I've been doing it now for over a year, and so I look at it as a great opportunity for those that want to either make it more of a affiliate business style income, or two, if you don't want to do the business side, you can do the passive automation side of getting your weight up in gold. So I am a fan of it. How about yourself?
Oh yeah, man. I like the way it looks. You see how that thing looks right there? I'm sorry about coming on your podcast. But,
hey.
Yeah, I'm a passionate affiliate myself,
Yeah.
But working for the system, kind of, you got to play your part in it.
Yeah, exactly. And my thing is, I just like the automated side of just setting your weight up, setting your gold up, and having it deducted automatically, delivered to yourself. To me, it makes an effort to get your weight up in gold. So I'm a big fan, my friend. And definitely in 2020, it's one of the things where I'll encourage more people to, look into it. Do it at your own will, educate yourself, but it's just an option. And at this point, I think more people need to be open to as many options as possible.
I think everybody's trying to reach for a little bit of financial freedom.
Yeah, that'll definitely help. It'll definitely help. And so, speaking of which, part of my thought process of moving into this new decade is the fact that conventional employment will be challenged. So it'll be in people's best interests to, outside of their day job as well, while they still have that, make sure they got their night hustle on. Do whatever it is it takes for you to earn a little bit extra, as well as I'm excited to talk more about the importance of really using your gifting as a way of diversifying yourself on and depending upon solely a job. So yeah, more of that to come. But I appreciate your calling, my friend.
All right, man. You be blessed.
All right, be good. Have a good night. Great call there. Appreciate you calling. So yeah, tonight we're just gonna have a little fun with it. So let me check in with the chat. I'm curious to find out your thoughts, projections for 2020. So we had one person mentioning that 2020 will be the year of the swan of some kind. And so I think I was talking earlier about weight, about getting your weight up or something like that. I think I was talking about that. But so yeah, moving forward in 2020, like, you know, starting tomorrow, I'm going to be working on a podcast of just talking about what I believe is going to be extremely important, because moving into this new decade, everything that we've been used to up to this point, whether it be our education system, whether it be the employment model of serving a corporation with the thought process of them solely being your sole providers of your income, your health benefits, your retirement benefits, all that stuff is subject to change on many fronts. One is that the economy is shifting to the point where the business models will change to where most corporations won't really need manpower anymore. And if you're actually a business owner, you have if you have an international presence, especially, you're more than likely, more nations will be doing more outsourcing overseas, especially as things become a little bit more cheaper abroad still. Because here in the U.S., I think we're going to have issues when it comes to just continue that narrative of living in the developed world. A lot of people are going to find it very difficult once inflation picks up starting later into this year, to where shopping won't be done the same, and a lot of things are going to change. So I think we need to initiate change for ourselves first, and employment is one of them. And I'm not of the mindset saying quit your job and do all that stuff, but I'm saying there's a importance, and I believe it's all that we should, in the daytime, for those that are employed, especially for those that are employed, work your day job in the daytime. But in the Bible, as it says, don't let your hands be idle in the evening. You should definitely be working towards your dreams, or working towards something of value that you can pass on to your kids if need be in the evening. So I'm going to be talking a lot more about that as we move forward. Because one thing is, you can't pass a job on to your kids. That is a fact. What else? So the podcast I'm going to be working on tomorrow. So actually, I'm going to set everything up tomorrow. It's one of the things where I've been intending on getting up everything as far as actual streams or where it's going to be at. But it's going to be, I'm going to end up actually starting another YouTube channel. It'll be Giftpreneur. And so literally combining entrepreneurship, the spiritual elements of everything, as a solution for people, because I think a lot of people moving forward will need encouragement, a little bit of a spark of encouragement, and realizing how important it is, or how I believe it's important for everybody to reconsider that long lost dream of yours, whatever it is that you've been holding back on or wanting to do. I think this upcoming decade, this upcoming year is your best time to start that, because I'm of the mindset that, as I just was talking about the employment concept, I believe there's going to be massive layoffs this year like never before. So last year was interesting, but I think next year will be extremely bad. And next year I'm referring to as tomorrow, it was going to be extremely bad, because all employment, it looks like it hinges upon President Trump making America great again, or whatever he's planning on, keep America great, whatever his slogan is, if you believe in all that stuff, is all based upon this China trade deal. And for those that I've been watching, I'm of the mindset that this trade deal is not actually a deal on trade whatsoever. I believe this trade deal is a part of the restructuring of the world power, the global powers, into this next decade. So we're being told it's about trade, but I don't think I don't think businesses will do better once these deals are signed. I think it's going to be just as bad, if not worse. Therefore, you're going to hear more news about corporate restructuring and more layoffs. And so people are going to be forced into looking for new ways to feed themselves, support themselves. So I'm anticipating this. If you're working a job now, if you're employed now, no matter how long you've been with your corporation or the company you work for, they're no longer moving into this next decade. They're not going to be really concerned with the the lifestyle of their employees. It's going to be about mere survival for corporations because competition's picking up. Automation, robotics, and all those things are shifting the business model anyway. And so a lot of corporations, especially publicly traded companies, are going to need to become a lot more nimble and quick, therefore restructuring their business models in general. And the primary overhead cost happens to be in payroll. So we're going to get into that more as time moves along. And so Matt Ford, more information coming tomorrow. I'm going to drop it all tomorrow officially. As far as what I'll be talking about, because I'm trying to get away from the bells and whistles, cameras, just sit and have an open conversation, a talk, go back and forth, share my thoughts, share with you a lot of things that I believe the Lord leads me to put out there in podcast form. So, yeah, it says, might as well pursue my dreams of becoming an organic farmer. Ryan James, why not? Why not? Might as well go ahead and do that. Spirit King, you over in the Europe area, so it's already 2020 over there. Happy New Year to you as well, my friend. Says companies are trying to do more with less. As soon as they don't need you, they'll dump you. Horror breakdown. That is 100% true. So here's my thing, and this is me even as a parent, like me having talked with my children, telling them that, you know, that college model is all fine and good. If it's free, go ahead and go. But if it's not free, then you should really consider what you're studying, because once you're done, if you're able to finish up with college, you got to then worry about, okay, what will you be able to do with that certificate? And a lot of the jobs now that people are graduating with, unless it's the obvious high skill level jobs, lawyers, doctors, even though, you know, I'm hearing people say we got too many of those, because that's the chosen career of a lot of people for the money's sake, not necessarily for the benefit of humanity's sake. But it's going to be a situation where there's going to be more degrees out there and more master degrees out there that's not of use, where people will be forced to think outside the box, or as I'm going to be talking about, unboxing themselves. And so I believe if everybody spends a little bit more time outside your 9 to 5, once you get off work, the typical thing is that you're tired, you want to do this, you got to do this. But yet it's in your best interest to put at least an hour towards your dream, whatever that is. And it'll be best served if that dream has something to do as far as contributing to the lives of other people. Find some way to add value to do that. And so I'm going to be talking a lot about, you know, this particular podcast project, which will be one of my ways amongst the many other things that I have going on that are all my after work hour ventures that excite me more than my actual during the day. So anyway, I'm rambling too much. Let me get back in the chat. Give me a call, 313-462-0027. This is about you guys tonight. Want to hear what's on your mind. What are you concerned about? What was exciting in 2019? And what are you excited about in 2020? Or what are you concerned about? Or what are you keeping an eye on? Let me know. I'm curious. I think we can all learn from each other. And so moving forward this year in 2020, but beyond the podcast aspect, I'm getting out on the road more. I'm actually working on some trips because I want to, and that's why a part of this, I'm not the doom and gloom type of guy saying that this year, 2020, the world's going to come to an end, the market's going to crash and all that stuff like that. No, I'm hoping I got some time because I still have a lot of places I have to go, things I have to do. And so it requires the Federal Reserve note still working. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. This is Mike calling from Miami.
Mike from Miami. Man, it's warm down there. I know it is. How's your evening thus far, Mike?
Oh, my gosh. Yes, it is nice and warm. I called you a couple of months ago, and we were talking about crypto, and we were talking about Veritasium.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I called you, well, just to let you know, I also have been listening to your podcast with you, Bitcoin Ben, and the others, so that's been pretty good listening to that.
Thank you, sir.
But the reason I called, because you touched on something that I've started doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I had been sending out motivational emails to friends and family, and when I went home for Thanksgiving, I had a family member say, "Hey, are you a pastor?" And I said, "No." They said, "Because you're always sending out inspiring messages."
Mm-hmm.
And so I really feel in my heart that this next year, 2020, and this next decade, we're going to see times like we've we've never seen in our lifetime. And I really believe that a lot of people's faith are going to be shaken, and it's really important to send motivational messages. I do try to add a Bible verse to it, but I don't want to get it overly religious because, you know, there's a lot of people that are not into religion. I really just want to keep them uplifted and be an inspiration to somebody. So I like that thought of what you're doing also.
Right. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, and definitely. So I do agree with what you're saying, and I started sensing, a couple of months ago that I am capable of playing a much bigger part in just sharing my faith, and so I don't have to go above and beyond. It's just whatever comes to mind, just openly share it. You know, I mean, I don't want to be all religious and all that stuff like that because I'm not a big religious fan. I more so look at it just having a relationship with my Creator. And so for those that don't have relationships, that's the biggest thing. Like, how can you encourage other people to be open to establishing a relationship with their Creator? And the best way to do it is just simply just let them know how your relationship is going. And so just by openly talking about your relationship, eventually they'll realize that, you know, they probably missing out on something, and that they should just be open and considerate without you having to do anything extra. Just share your relationship, and from that alone, that's your testimony. So
yes, you're 100% right. And I try to do that and show people that whatever it is that they're going through currently, you know, that there's somebody in the Bible that you can relate it to. Right. And so when you look at characters in the Bible, some people may think, oh, you know, these people were this, that, and the other thing. But the truth is they're human like us, and they go through the ups and downs that we go through.
Right. There's nothing new under the sun, my friend. Everything happens in a circular, cyclical nature. So, yeah, I appreciate you calling, my friend, and definitely there'll be more of my spiritual walk being shared on this channel as well as on the podcast format. So stay tuned for that, because I'm going to make sure that's going to be something where I think more people can relate to it, because I'm going to really touch on the employment aspect and just the importance of everybody, if you're not already, taking up some type of side hustle, preferably through utilizing whatever your unique gifting is. And I'm going to really hammer that home, because I think that you'll have more fun, and you'll have more motivation and more excitement for your day if you're working towards something that hopefully will outlive you. That's what I'm trying to work towards. So, but hey, Mike, I appreciate you, my friend. Go ahead.
I think you mentioned that. I think it was today when you were on the podcast with Bitcoin Ben and I think the guy George. Mm-hmm. And or it was the one from Sunday where you guys were talking about how with AI, like the number one job that's going to be taken over is truck drivers. Yeah.
So I think manufacturing and just service sector jobs in general in this next decade. Just from a business standpoint, if you're a business owner, it's only in your best interest for the profitability of your company to look at that type of technology. So, you know, it's not going to be done to piss people off or to disrupt people's world, but it's just a part of just evolving and the business model changing. So therefore, you have to change along with it. Like, don't wait for your employer to make changes on your behalf, is what I'm saying. Like, because it's in their best interest to do so, but you have to make changes first. And so it starts with doing the best you can at your job while you still have a job, being thankful for that. But once you get off your work, you better find something that you can get your kids involved in, because you got to pass whatever it is you're doing after work is what you're trying to pass on to your children, hopefully.
Well, that's funny, because that was the message that I sent today, where I was telling people you need to have a mindset of expectation instead of, too many people have a mindset of wishing and hoping. And, you know, when you do things with a wishing and hoping mentality, you're already coming with a defeatist attitude.
Yeah, I would agree. Hey, Mike, you're right on point, my friend. I appreciate your calling. We're going to get a couple more people online tonight, but you have a great new year, and I'll see you in 2020, my friend.
You too. Happy New Year.
Thank you, sir. Great call. I appreciate that. And let me acknowledge the love offering to the channel. Mr. Debt and Regret. It says the Australian stock market dived on the last day of trade before the New York. You never got back to my email regarding your 5-ounce coin sent to Australia. Debt and regret. I appreciate you for the love offering. And so I contacted the Mint in regards to sending to Australia, and it's doable. It's a little on the expensive side due to the customs and stuff like that. So if you're still interested and you want me to put together a full-fledged package for you, shoot me another email and I can connect you and find out some quotes and give me your address and stuff like that, and we'll get that worked out. So I apologize for not getting back to you, but I figure because it's going to be a little bit on the expensive side, not sure if you want to do it still, but we can make that work. So apologize for not getting back with you. And so we got the New York Redneck says, I'm officially old. I'm staying it and talking about finance on New York Eve. Yeah, so typically, apart from this year and I think last year, my typical routine ever since I was a child was that I bring in the new year on my knees in prayer. And so I usually do it in church, but yet this evening just didn't work out that way. So I'm here. I'm like, let me go ahead and live stream and just connect with everybody and find out what's going on. And, you know, I still got a couple minutes or whatnot, but I definitely, I love to bring in the new year in prayer just because it gives me a chance to just, show my appreciation. Mark Carl, I appreciate that love offering, my friend. Thank you. It allows me to bring in the new year in a way that I enjoy best. And for me personally, it's always about being grateful and expressing my gratitude for just being alive. Like, you know, I can be personal with y'all tonight just because, you know, we family like that. But, you know, I got a friend in town, and the reason he's in town is because his aunt is at home on hospice, and so he's not anticipating her making it out of the week. And I was just reminiscing about when we were children, how, you know, Auntie used to take care of us, and it was just, you know, sad to see her laid up. And man, just I'm thinking like, man, like, you know, for him and his family, they're hoping to get her into 2020. And so it's one of the things where it just got me thinking like, man, just, you know, so grateful, so much to be grateful for. And so, you know, it's one of the things that hit home early tonight on how real death is. And so something that we all should be grateful for is to have another chance to enter into new year and hopefully do things better, whatever our standard is of better than last year. It says volume very low. I apologize for that. So I've been talking to the mic, so I'm not sure what's up with that, but hopefully you guys can hear me a little bit better. Let me know if that sounds better. What else we got going on here? Happy New Year, low blood pressure. How you doing, my friend? Happy New Year to you as well. 2020 is here. So with that being the case, I want to get more into what I'm expecting or anticipating in 2020. So in 2020, as I mentioned before, I anticipate there being more unpleasant financial news. And so we had the repo market activity it's new QE, so it's not going anywhere. It's going to be here to stay, and it's a sign of a crisis, so therefore it has to continue on. Excuse me. Then we have the presidential debacle and just the whole impeachment stuff, which it's going to turn into a war zone possibly in this country. So let me just be honest and upfront. Let me see what I really see. Social unrest. So I've talked a lot about social unrest all around the world. And if it's looking like this year is not going to be winnable at any measure by the Democratic Party, I would be willing to say that there's going to be something this spring, something definitely this summer. There will be some type of false flag, stage event, whatever you want to call it, that will lead to protests in the streets. And so I think it'd be hard for another year to go by where there's unrest in Chile, Lebanon, Hong Kong, all these nations, and there not to be something here that gets public attention. And so I see some type of social unrest happening in the U.S. And then also how the Federal Reserve can't seem to find inflation. I think there might be a spillover this upcoming year where it'll be hard to deny that it'd be hard to that PCE measurements that they try to say is shooting below the target. It's going to be hard to miss that target this year. So I can see them overshooting inflation this year as they drop rates, as they publicly announce that they might be doing QE or something like that. So it's going to be a lot of uncertainty. And that's not to mention all the other activity happening where Hong Kong will probably escalate because eventually China is going to get involved, and the U.S. won't stand by and watch the Chinese come in directly and move some things. And then this whole situation over the weekend with Iraq and Syria, because Iraq and Syria right now, they were in the process of trying to rebuild. Like all the terrorist narrative, all the bad guys that we've been fighting for the last, ever since 9/11, so almost 20 years now. All that narrative is gone now. The primary, what's it called? Al-Qaeda, whatever they were, whatever their name is, whoever, all that's dying down. So now it's like Iraq and Syria is looking to rebuild. Reason I know because Assad is trying to connect with China and become part of the Belt and Road Initiative. So because of all that, I can see the U.S. going back over in the Middle East strong, causing problems, just being disruptive, just doing what they do best, which is to spread destruction and problems. And so Jeff G says, I love the Matrix 2.0 video. Appreciate it, Jeff. So those are all things that I'm really keeping an eye on. And because I know those things are going to happen, I'm not going to just sit around and solely focus on reporting or sharing my opinions on uneventful news. Because I know that the equities market is going to continue to go up because of stock buybacks, and the repo market, QE, going to keep going, and politicians are going to still bickering and trying to impeach Trump. It's going to be more scandals and all types of stuff. So I'm not going to be sitting around in 2020 just talking about that stuff. I'm tired of talking about problems. This is basically what I'm getting at. So I'm going to, podcast. I want to focus on encouraging and exciting things. And one of my biggest things is becoming a little bit more bold with my statements, especially on the podcast. I'm going to be talking really, it's going to be real unique. And the fact that I'm telling people, especially when it comes to retirement, like I'm really about to ramp up the retirement narrative of like, if you're sitting around waiting to retire and you're young and able to still go out and shoot for your dreams, you got working 9 to 5 for 30, 40 years, setting funds aside in inflated artificial markets, or you got a dream that you can work on now. And you may achieve it, may not achieve it, but the gratification towards working towards something that has potential will far surpass any type of concept of retiring. So I'm just, when it comes to retirement, I don't believe in it, in that narrative anyway. So I'm really going to be just encouraging people, especially the younger generation, don't make retirement your goal. Because the natural process is that after 30, 40 years, they're going to push you out of the workforce anyway. So why would you sit around waiting to withdraw yourself, and you're about to be forced out of the workforce in this decade here? So I figure if everybody got something started this year, so I'm not sure where you at. So we got about 95 people watching right now. I'm curious to find out by show of, or people that's bold enough and willing and wanting to check in with me. Nathaniel, finding your purpose. That purpose word is directly connected towards your dream. And so I look at it from a biblical standpoint. There's a couple things I'm really going to be focused on. One is I believe in dreams and visions, and God has always operated through a dream and a vision. And so the reason I'm even talking about this, because I believe I myself received some type of higher instruction as to what I should be doing. And it's tied into what I'm getting towards now. And it has to do with my ability to be of an encouragement to a lot of people. And of course, a lot of things on top of that. But what I think a lot of people should be willing to focus on is the fact that, work your day job. And it's Ecclesiastes 18. Let me find that. Ecclesiastes, was it 18:16? Let me pull it up real quick. But, it's Ecclesiastes, 11. Let me find this. It's gonna bug me. But there's a lot of scripture verses that gives us insight as to, just something that that goes outside of conventional thought. And it basically says, in the daytime sow your seeds, and in the evenings don't let your hands be idle, because you don't know which one is basically going to pan out or which one is going to work. And so from that's Ecclesiastes, and it's written by Solomon. And of course, the whole book of Ecclesiastes is a very interesting book, because it's all about man's futile nature itself and how everything under the sun is futile. Man gets the only chance to work, enjoy his labor, and then he dies. So it's real interesting how Solomon approached that book there. But just that scripture there, 11, 16, 11, 13. I can't think of it offhand. But anyway, from that, I can formulate a whole school of thought in and of itself, and of which I would rather share that message with people because I think it can be very encouraging for a lot of people. A lot of people more so, and I'm just ranting because no one's called in, and I missed a call or two, but I think more people in this next decade just need a little bit of encouragement. And so one of the biggest things that I think will be of excitement to every single one of us is that if someone expressed interest in your actual best interests, which happens to be, I believe personally, it's your personal dream. It's that dream of what you're holding on to that you want to see brought into existence. And so, you know, I can go on and on and on, but that's going to be for the Giftpreneur podcast. So I'm going to drop a episode tomorrow, and I'll refer to it here on Rethinking the Dollar so more people can find out about it. But I'm going to be touching on all types of stuff like that and sharing my journey. So a lot of this is going to be validated by my journey, and we'll walk through it together. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, now.
Hey there. How you doing?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. How you doing?
Back go.
What's on your mind, my friend? Happy New Year to you.
Nothing much. What's going on is that I just came across some news that Baghdad, the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad was stormed. I don't know if it was today or maybe earlier.
Yeah. And
I look at it as how in America we seem to be under this false, how can I say, a fog, that everything's good, everything's going fine, while our family across the water is going through their little turmoils.
Right.
I mean, here we got in Libya, where we've pretty much trashed Libya.
Yeah.
And you know how the slavery thing is going on there, because there's slavery now. I mean, it's the people that are trying to migrate to get to Europe or whatnot. Some of them are being captured by bands, and they're and being sold off into slavery.
Yeah.
And as I was sitting back and I'm sitting down, I'm laying down, so to speak, and it just, I'm going through this whole thing. It's like, wow, how lucky and how naive we are here in America.
Yeah.
Up there saying, God bless this country, and all the hell and everything, hell that other people are going through.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff we have started.
Yeah,
it's
a
a
lot
day
of
of reckoning coming.
Yeah, man, I agree. And so my thing is, we're all interconnected in more ways than we are aware of, and it's unfortunate that we've become so divided and separated by our own media sources, where we're not even aware of the problems that as you mentioned, our other brothers and sisters in other nations are having, but yet we're all under the same umbrella in a sense. We got the same monetary system, we got the same political structure somewhat. They all use the word democracy like that's working, and that's failing. It's failing right now, and it's going to fail more. So that's a part of this whole just suppression of truth. And so I think this upcoming year and decade especially, there will be more awareness being brought to the light, and then that might lead into that social unrest that I was mentioning that I foresee probably coming to our homeland, and where it's going to be hard for mainstream news to deny it. So, but hopefully it's peaceful in the sense that we want change, not like straight out rebellion, revolution, where it gets ugly. So hopefully it starts off peaceful and lasts that way for some time.
Yeah, we're gonna find out with this election coming up.
Yeah,
we are going to definitely find out.
Yeah, I would agree.
Whether you're a supporter of this president or not, you can definitely find out.
Yeah.
He stays in, we go down the tube slower. He gets out, we go down a lot faster.
Yeah, so no matter what, we're going down. It's just a matter of how fast, huh?
Yeah, it doesn't matter how fast you want to go down.
Yeah, I agree. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you calling, and Happy New Year to you, buddy. Thank you for your support and everything. In 2019, looking for more in 2020.
All right.
Be good. Yeah, man, that is great stuff there. I appreciate you calling. So as you guys can see what the call is referring to. So, yeah, the whole U.S. Embassy, I didn't even mention that today. So, yeah, so the U.S. Embassy, once again, U.S. intervention in foreign affairs, and it's militia supporters. And so here you have people chanting Allah Akbar, and they terrorize and burning stuff, and I even heard that those are U.S. troops right there on the roof there. So once again, not good news heading into a new decade, and at a time where the world really don't like us like that. So, but we'll see. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, how's it going, Mike? This is Charles calling out of Atlanta.
How you doing, my friend? Happy New Year to you. What's on your mind?
Nothing much. Same to you and yours and your family.
Thank you, sir.
I was going to check a look at the 1911 China railroad bonds.
Say
back in
one more time.
2019, Bloomberg wrote an article about those bonds.
Okay.
Stating that Trump is going to use the bonds too. Their legacy bonds that China defaulted on back in 1911. New York, I think it's New York Bank, lent them gold in exchange for those bonds to build a railroad system, and they defaulted.
Mm-hmm.
So each one of those bonds, multiple companies, multiple people have came out this year and try to sue them for the gold. And Trump's trying to use those bonds as a tool in the actual trade.
Okay, so unfortunately, I got my Arizona over my head, and the volume's low, so I didn't get a chance to hear. I heard some about bonds, Trump, and China railroad.
Yeah, the 1911 China railroad bonds.
China railroad bonds. Okay, I'm not familiar with those.
Like I said, you'll see in August 29th of this year, Bloomberg wrote an article stating that Trump was going to use those bonds that China defaulted on as a basic tool in the trade deal.
Yeah.
The bonds were backed by gold. They were issued back in 1911 by the New York Trust, I believe it was, for China to build their railroad in exchange for gold. We gave them the gold. They defaulted. And over the since then, every person that holds those bonds has been trying to sue, trying to exchange for the gold back. The group has got there and got with Trump to try to get him to infuse those bonds within the actual trade deal. Like I said, it's a legitimate article. Like I said, August 29th, 2019, Bloomberg wrote an article about it.
Okay, I'm familiar with it, but I didn't dive into it much. I'll check into that, but I'm curious to find out how all that plays out, because this trade deal situation, I'm sure it's not what we're being told on the surface. Is what I'm trying to get at. Like I don't think it's no deal. It's just, this is all a hoax in my opinion. But
it's a stolen. Somehow they're going to drag the system out until November, if they can.
Until November, okay.
If he can get past November, it's all coming down after that.
So it's coming down after the presidential elections, assuming he'll get reelected, and then he's going to what? So you think he'll bring it down, or the structure around him will crumble because the powers that be will want to bring it down, or what? How do you think it's going to come down?
Well, look at the fact that we've been printing money like nobody's business for the past 10 years. The world was fine. Look at Baghdad. Look at Syria. Look at Libya. Look at Brazil. Look at Argentina. Look at Venezuela. Look at Germany. The dollar is what's causing this.
Yeah.
Do you think the dollar's got another lifespan in the next 11 months? No, it doesn't. Only people who have U.S. dollars, people who live in America, because we still have that evil that our money has value somewhere. Because most people don't leave their bank cards, let alone their accounts. So they don't know that the dollar, it has value, but it only has value based upon what somebody's willing to trade you for these days. Nobody's going to trade the dollar anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So hey, I'm all game, and as I mentioned, like I'm not predicting or calling for or looking forward to the activity where it's becomes outright that the dollar is a bunch of hot air, which we all know it is. I personally think, the word dollar will be around into this next decade beyond. Now, what it looks like and how we interact with it will change. So I think the Federal Reserve note, as it is now, it's going to get some gameplay from here on out, because I foresee people inside this country even still using it a lot longer after they realize it is the problem itself once inflation picks up. So I think it's going to have some lifeline in it still. It won't be as heavily sought after by the world internationally, which will then lead into the issuance of a dual currency of some kind, possibly for international trade, and then the Federal Reserve note or whatever they're going to spin off locally. So I think the papers we have now will probably still spin for quite some time, though.
I mean, you're absolutely right. One of the biggest fears, Americans wake up one day and they realize we become what we've always created throughout the world, and that's debt-ridden. We're already there. most Americans live and die by debt.
Yeah.
After the thing of the past. I mean, we talk about money, but people really don't know what money is.
Right.
People know what paper is. They don't know what money is.
Right. Good
And
point.
let alone an asset. Most Americans don't have assets. Most Americans have debt.
Right. Good point.
Reparations as Americans are going to be the debt roll down to the next generation.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you calling, and we'll definitely keep an eye out for that. I will check further into the bond default situation because I haven't had a chance to dive into it too deep, so I appreciate you for bringing it to my attention again.
Oh, no problem. You have a blessed one.
All right, you too, my friend. Thanks. Yeah, man. Good stuff. So with that being the case, it's 11:05-ish, and about to get ready to dial back. But I wanted to check in and just check in. That's all, because I feel like I've been off schedule as of the last couple of days, and so tomorrow, looking forward to getting the podcast out. So for those that are watching, as I have been mentioning about the giftpreneur, so I'm definitely gonna, once everything is up and running, I'll check in here on Rethinking the Dollar. But I'm going to be doing the live stream. I'm going to try to do more live streams frequently as best I can. Get back to my daily if I can. And then, of course, interviews as always. I love connecting with people in the financial realm to shine some light on the situations we're facing. So between the interviews and live streams are what I'm going to stick with primarily. Share my thoughts throughout the day with the quick takes. Podcasts, I'm going to try to do that every day, every other day. Focus on the solution. So problems on RTD, our personal solutions, our individual solutions will be on the giftpreneur. So looking forward to that. Also got a couple of trips planned and things I want to do. And I want to basically get out on the road in 2020, do more live streams from different locations. And so more stuff to come. So with that being the case, I'm going to get ready to dial back. That's pretty much it. I feel like I haven't exhausted myself a little bit. I feel like a little bit tired. But with that being the case, let me check on the chat one last time for 2019. Treasury yields up or going to zero? Treasuries at the end of the day is going to junk. Who wants a debt note apart from those people who use them for speculative vehicles, or if you're a hedge fund, you have to hold them for retirement accounts. I personally would just prefer to get my weight up. Do you believe in God? Looks like we got some spirituality talk there. I like that. Romans 13 says that the government is God's avenger of God's wrath. God gave government to punish the wrongdoer and promote good. Treasury, you're doing a great job with the channel. 3 Pistols 7. I appreciate that, my friend. Anybody still listen to Kristen Wayne? I occasionally still listen to Kristen Wayne, even though I know a lot of what he's going to mention. But it was great having him on the show, so definitely I plan on having him on the show in 2020. Says, Mike, did you see the George Gammons video about Deutsche Bank and the repo market? I saw it, Matt, but I didn't get a chance to go through it. But George always does a good job of breaking it down to the nitty-gritty there. It's the United Nations is hiring Americans to detain combating Americans in NYC. Wow. I'm going to leave that alone. But anyway, that being the case, everybody, it's been great hanging out in 2019. It's been a great ride this past year. I think I probably end up doing close to 300 videos, maybe, of which a lot of them were interviews and live streams. So 2020 should get better. I'm hoping for it to get better. It says, I've been rethinking it a whole lot. 2020, hope it gets its stuff together. Hope it gets its stuff together. The Bruce, Ken, too. What are you referring to? I've been rethinking it a whole lot. Interest rates going up. Interest rates will be cut this upcoming year, definitely. They're going to cut interest rates. Yeah, I anticipate more of the same thing. That's why I'm not going to sit around just watching them kill the system, because all this is leading up to one big crisis event, which happens all the time. I mean, the best thing the central banks can do is create crises by inflating the bubbles and letting the bubbles burst and then starting over again. But this time, it won't be no starting over the way it has in the past. So, yeah. Matt Ford, I did not see George's last video. No, I did not. So with that being the case, that is all she wrote for this evening. Be blessed, be safe, have a great and safe evening. Don't do nothing foolish. Catch you back tomorrow for our first live stream of 2020, and then we'll keep moving from there. Other than that, anybody have any thoughts? Get your weight up, Patreon support, whatever you guys want to do. I would definitely appreciate that. But other than that, be blessed, be safe, and I'll see you guys in 2020. Enjoy your night.